Hi, my name is Marc Simmons, and until recently I've been a high school principal, and now I'm director of K-12 teaching and learning in the Ocean Beach School District.
How do you define success?
In my opinion, success defines you, actually. And what I mean by that is it's the thing that's inside you that needs to emerge, that needs to come out, like the word education, to draw out. What is the thing that's sitting inside someone that wants to come out? And usually that's in the form of passion, engagement, excitement, interest, enthusiasm. And so when that comes out, in whatever form it is, whatever discipline it is, it's when that emerges, when you've tapped into that thing, and it's when that emerges that a person is successful. And it usually, I would expect, culminates in a person's happiness. Success, usually tapping into the thing that you do well at, or the thing that inspires you, that culminates in a person's happiness. That's success.
Where did your inspiration come from?
The things I enjoy doing. When you do something and do it well, but I don't believe by any means I'm an artist, but there are things you do that when you look back at it you think, that is well done, and it was fun, and it meets my expectations or exceeds them, it benefits somebody. When you can involve yourself in a project that exceeds everybody's expectations, including your own, and has value and worth, that's inspiring. And when anybody can do that, or if you can help facilitate that for other people, that's inspiring. So inspiration is, what is that kernel inside you that drives you to do the next thing, and essentially make the world a better place.
How did you move from idea to something actually succeeding in the market?
Well, my market is education, and I think ideas are a dime a dozen. I think there's no such thing as $1 million idea. I think there's $1 million effort. And the ideas being a dime a dozen, it takes somebody to constantly think about that idea and look at it in a variety of ways and decide, is this something that I find that I want to pursue at all costs in order to create something great. And in order to take that idea and make it a reality in the market, there's a lot of strategic and lateral thinking and problem solving and creativity, but it's also communicating with others. I think the most important thing is you have to ask, does that idea have value in and of itself? When this thing is completed, will it improve the lives of others? Will it make the world a better place? And if that's the case, we don't have any choice but to do that thing, to take the idea to market.
How did you organize your team?
In some ways, my team was handed to me, and in some ways it was hand-picked. I think it starts small. I would call it snowball effect. An idea here, a question there, a comment. I know where we want to go. They don't know where we want to go. Sometimes they want to work for me. Sometimes they have their own interests. But that snowball, we start with a kernel. We start with an idea. An eyebrow is raised in conversation, a smile, a hint of a smile on their face, and pretty soon we're talking the same language. We're talking the same language, and then we're sitting around a table together thinking about the next step. The team, I think, emerges. I don't think that, at least for me, I've never gone out and hand-picked members to be part of my team. I think, in a way, they found me through the conversations that we've had. And in every team I've ever been on, there's the core team and there's the extended team. The extended team is the team I've been handed, and the core team is the team that has emerged and has chosen to work with me because they resonate with the vision that I've had. And so organizing my team is putting it out there, allowing those people to emerge and find their way out of the external circle, the circle that's been delivered to me. And then that's where things pick up and snowball, and things get really exciting really quick. And then I know who's on my team.
If you could have, what would you have done differently?
There's a lot of things I do differently. As much as I think I've pre-planned ahead of time, I have never planned enough ahead of time. I don't know if you can plan enough. I have upset people. I think I've made people's lives difficult. I think I've pushed things too fast, too hard, too strong that people weren't ready for. But in the end, we're not going to remember the difficulty. We're going to remember the success. And I'm not willing to have a single day of my life at the end of which look back and say, well, that was pointless. And if it means cracking a few eggs to make an omelet, then so be it. Because there are things that I would feel like in hindsight I would have done better. More communication, more groundwork laid, more forethought and planning. But then maybe we'd still be waiting for the results. And that's not a compromise I'm willing to make.
Makes a great entrepreneur.
I think a lot of people define an entrepreneur as a risk taker. I think an entrepreneur is a risk seeker and a risk manager. There's not as much risk involved as people think there is. They've managed the risk. They've laid it out. They've weighed the pros and cons. A great entrepreneur is somebody who can think creatively, solve problems, think laterally, develop new ideas, and see things that other people can't see. And entrepreneurship is not limited to the business world like a lot of people think. I'm in education, and we can be entrepreneurs in education. We can be entrepreneurs in art, music, and business, or many other fields. And so, but an entrepreneur is typified by their ability to think creatively, problem solve, manage risk, and essentially see the big picture.
What role did education have in your success?
I can't remember if it was Mark Twain or Louis L'Amour, but one of them said that they weren't willing to allow school to get in the way of their education. Education isn't something that's handed to you or delivered or manufactured. It's your own experience and how you respond to those experiences. And so just because we go to organized school, K-12, college, grad school, etc., doesn't mean that's your education. Education is... If you're asking about my K-12 environment, it had very little to do with my success. In fact, it was a big obstacle, and most of my education was learning how to move around those obstacles. So even as an educator, I've been working to prevent those obstacles from being presented to other students, and that's the sad thing. And education as it exists today is largely no different than it was when I was in school, or even generations before me, and I find that sad that we can't offer our students a more creative, innovative place to spend their time. And I think the best education is who you are far after school, far after you've left school and the school environment. And so as far as what it's done for me, it's discouraging. And I sigh because I'm not the only one. I know as an educator, it's discouraging for a lot of people. And I think their experience could be so much better than they're getting. And which means my work's not done.
What's the most important question we didn't ask you?
Those are outstanding questions. But the one question I wished you'd asked is, how do we improve the educational experience for all students? The only problem with that question is I don't have the answer. But I feel like I'm willing to try to find out, and I feel like that's what makes me different from a lot of educators. I wish more educators were willing to put in more time, more energy, more thought, more resources into determining what will save public education today. And I just haven't met a lot of educators that are in that position.